Hello, hello. Welcome to this next episode of Beyond the Pills. I am Josh Rimini, pharmacist turned healer. And today we have an amazing special guest. I'm honored to welcome Marques Ogden, a former NFL player turned inspirational keynote speaker. He's a 5-time best-selling author, business coach, and host of the acclaimed podcast, Get Authentic with Marques Ogden. After experiencing the heights of a professional football and harsh lessons of business failure, losing nearly $3 million in just 90 days, Marques rebuilt his life from the ground up, even working as a custodian at one point. Through grit, humility, and what he calls victory mindset, he's now the CEO of Ogden Ventures and highly sought after speaker for some of the biggest Fortune 100 and 500 companies in the world. Today, he shares with us how he turned that adversity into an advantage and how each of us can tap into our inner resilience to unlock our next level of success. Marques, welcome to the show, buddy.
How you doing, Josh? Thanks for having me on, my friend.
Oh, man. Reading the bio is like, it reads like a movie. Like you've gone from like NFL to losing everything and building it all back up. So let's just dive right in, man. Let's dive into this story and talk about this, because this podcast is all about transformation and rebirth and moving people in the best way possible through these things. So your story's awesome. So let's talk. Let's just chat and riff.
Let's do it, man. So you tell me, do you want me to tell you a bit more about who I am first, or you have some questions you want to kind of just fire
Yeah,
away?
who is Marques Ogden?
Great question. So Marques Ogden is from Washington, D.C. Marques Ogden now lives in Fuquay, Varina, North Carolina. He is a father of two amazing girls. I have a 21-year-old that's a junior at NYU. I have a 10-year-old daughter that's going to be going into middle school next year. I really am an individual that's about helping people learn how to thrive through the eye of the storm. I'm a Howard University bison graduate. The bison is the only animal that has entered the eye of the storm. I actually saw a really cool picture of a bison up in Yellowstone National Park going right into the storm with his entire face covered with snow, the whole look. And I try to tell people that's what you have to learn to do in life. Life is not going to ever be straight line. It's not going to just be easy. It's not going to just be linear. It's going to be full of ups and downs all around. And if you are not an individual that can really learn how to go through life and move through life and go through the challenges and go through the adversity, you're never going to get where you want to go. So I grew up in D.C., went to Howard University. I got drafted to the National Football League by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I was drafted by my head coach, Jack Del Rio, who also was one of the first minority head coaches in the National Football League. Jack is of Mexican descent. And Jack told us, and I love this, Josh, in life, be your own CEO, be your own chief executive officer. As Jack said, if you have to wait for me to tell you where to go, where to be, how to do, when to come to work, when to stay late, go into the Jaguar community, all these things, you will not have a job with the Jaguars long, and you won't have a job in the NFL for long. And, you know, it's really about your ability, right, Josh, to connect with people and to show them that you are going to be a self-inspired, self-starting individual. That's what it is, because the NFL, it only gets harder. It does. Like this whole like Shedeur Sanders thing, I'm really glad he got an opportunity. But like I tell everybody, okay, he's got an opportunity. Now he has to go and work. I don't care.
Work, right? Yeah.
It's work time, because as a 5th round draft pick, they don't have the like tie to you like a first rounder, like a second rounder, like a third rounder, right? They don't have the tie to you fiscally. So now you have to go out there and earn that position. You got to go out there and do the actual work. And there's 2 magic factors in people's success. Okay, Josh? consistency, and themselves. No matter where you go, right? This, for me, is following me anywhere and everywhere I go. Doesn't matter. I'm the only constant in the land of the variables. So if you want to be great, you got to be consistent, and you got to really realize that you are the magic factor. So that's kind of my journey from upbringing, being raised by a single father. My older brother, Jonathan Ogden, was the Ravens' first draft pick ever in 1996. He is their first Hall of Famer ever. And we learned from our father at a young age, we are going to have to be the ones that do the work. And that's how we were raised. And that's what I also learned, compound effect, from the National Football League.
Well, there's a bunch in there. And that, so are you thinking like, because you learn this at a very early age. I learned this at a very early age, like that adversity. And I'm a big fan of the universe gives you what you need to learn in order to grow, right? It's like you said it in the beginning, is like life is not like just easy and puppy dogs and ice cream and everything's going to lay it in front of you. And we've learned through, I grew up in a broken family. I've gone through cancer. I've done all, my parents died when I was young, and those were all lessons. I've learned the lessons. Let me know how you feel about this, because this is a really good topic and conversation about it. But like, as you're going through all these challenges and adversities and developing this, I love when you said like, be your own CEO. Like you got to do you, but you got to show up. Nobody's going to do it for you. And, as you're going through this in life, all those trials and tribulations, you've gone all the way up to the NFL and then shot back down. Then your business went all the way up and it shot back down. But do you take those lessons? I always say that you're either winning or learning, and learning is winning. And so talk to me through your mindset as you're getting punched down all the time and coming out of it. Do you think it's a big thing for you as well? Like you see that as always a lesson, not as a regret, right?
So absolutely, Josh. Everything I went through, parents divorcing when I was 8, going through the hardships, losing my father when I was 25 and he was 57 unexpectedly to heart conditions and other ailing factors, to starting a construction company and growing a business on that regard, right? That's a huge, huge factor. And so at the end of the day, it's a very important part that when things don't go your way, that you learn from them. You have to learn from them. If you don't learn from them, you're going to make the same mistakes over and over and over again, period. That's what's going to happen. And so like for me, right, Josh, like I lost everything. I was telling my girlfriend, I lost everything in my construction company in 2013, everything in 90 days. If where I'm at today, rebuilding, things are going very well. If I didn't learn from that experience to not have an ego, to not have this massive, like, yeah, I'm a big guy, strong guy, look at me, I'm the best. Like, if I didn't learn how to be humble, show gratitude, be grateful, smile, be engaging, what's going to happen is the exact same thing that happened with Caden, right? So we've been in business now for 12 years, right? 12 years we've been in business. Well, 11 and a half, almost 12 years. I lost Caden at the 6-year mark. So I've learned today in this business and other partnerships and other companies I'm a part owner of, that you have to treat people with respect. You have to be an individual that allows people to state their opinion, have conversation, have dialogue. And that's really what it comes down to. So yeah, I mean, I lost everything I own in 2013. The bank told me 2 days before Christmas in 2012, January 1st, 2013, they were coming after everything I owned. Line of credit shut down. All of our credit cards, our equipment lines shut down. Everything. The home that was on the line collateral-wise, they were coming after. They're going to foreclose. Cars, foreclosing, repoing, you name it. So those are things. And again, I found out that 2 days before Christmas in 2012, December 23rd, about 8 o'clock at night, my bank informed me, Marcus, we're shutting down your lines of credit, coming after everything. Merry Christmas. If I didn't learn from that, I'd be in trouble.
Well, think what was going like, because we all have these big things happen, right? These that's huge, right? It's like a lot of people, it's like the stories of adversity that I've learned through my own lessons and other people that I've followed, and what goes on in the mindset at like, let's talk about that victory mindset. One, do you think it came natural to you, or was it just journey, like life lessons kept coming and you kept building up to this point now? Because that one, let's bring this back to that one thing, right? Huge, right before Christmas, everything's down. You could have totally had the I always say perception is the reality, right? Because in the moment, that's huge. It's like, holy crap, what am I going to do? Blah, 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 right? Everything's down. But talk us through your mindset in that space, because this is where that neuroscience of change comes from. It's right there at that moment in time. Talk to us a little bit about what was going on.
So, victory mindset, if I understand you correctly, I learned that at a high level in the National Football League, because fixed mindset is completely negative. It means you can't learn, you can't grow, you don't want to take any information in, you think you're Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all. No good. Growth mindset is good. You want to get better, you want to enhance, you want to elevate. The problem with growth mindset is just about your growth, your advancement. Victory mindset is everybody around you's growth, your friends, your teammates, your colleagues, all these things. And I learned that in the NFL, every team that I saw at a high level, because I was very fortunate to watch my brother and the Ravens for all those years, 7 years before I came to the NFL. And I remember the Ravens that won the Super Bowl of the 2000 season. They won in 2001, beating the Giants in Tampa. I've never seen a team with a more victory mindset mentality than I saw with the Baltimore Ravens of that championship team that season. They did not have a lot of great weapons on offense, right? They didn't. They had great weapons up front on the offensive line. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they were just unpenetrable. They were just unstoppable in defense. But defense, it's like, well, you know what, guys? We don't have a super high-powered offense. So the defense took the mentality of victory mindset to say, you know what? We got to carry the load. If we can score a touchdown, something like that, on top of it, let's go. But we got to keep people out of the end zone because we don't have a high-powered offense. And then the offense, what they did, they couldn't score sometimes. They managed to have the clock, keeping the ball in the hands of the Ravens offense, which kept the other teams off the field and kept them from scoring. It was a perfect victory mindset atmosphere. And because of that, they won the highest level, the Lombardi Trophy that season. And unfortunately, they did not keep the team together next year. They did not go back. But again, ladies and gentlemen, this is victory mindset. It's about thinking about everybody around you, their growth, their advancement, what they're doing, what they need, and that's what it is. And here's the secret. When you actually implement this, you do a hell of a lot better because why? People see you as a value add and they want to help you more.
Yeah, I think And what's beautiful about that, one, there's the adage, defense wins championships, but two, like, looking at that from like, I'm in lots of entrepreneurial circles, I'm in EO, is knowing your team, right? Knowing your advantages of what you have. Like the Ravens, they didn't have the high powered offense, but they knew who they were and they knew what they needed to do to get the job done because they took that. So it's, you're a business coach, right? And you're talking to teams and you're talking to organizations about, well, it's not like you have to be them. It's you're a full authentic self and you are crushing who you are to get to where you need to be. So I really understood that as like, hey, if you're going to be in that victory mindset, the first thing you got to really do is you got to know your team, and you got to be the player who's like, we have the core value here at our wellness center is, have each other's back. Like that phrase is what I heard you kind of saying is like, if you all know you have each other's back, then we're all going to go to war for each other, right? And that's kind of how the NFL, when you get to those championship levels, right? So I love that victory mindset. How can our listeners, especially those in health, wellness, going beyond pills, like really charging themselves up, how can they start to cultivate that in their own lives?
So what you have to do, you have to be an individual that people trust. And that comes from a couple of different aspects. Number one is your character. Aristotle told Alexander the Great, the first step in being a general that your men want to follow is impeccable character. And what he was telling Alexander was, if people or your men think we're out there fighting for the good of, Alexander or his reign, that's going to be it. They're never going to fight for you at the whole problem. They're not going to do it. They're like, I'm not going to do it. But if they feel it's for the good of Greece, for their legacy along with yours, now you got them. And that's how Alexander the Great defeated Darius III and Persia when he was outnumbered at least 10-1 in every battle he fought against Persia. He was outnumbered at least 10-1. Every battle. Never failed. Because 150 million people were under the rule of Persia. Now, the other side, talk about victory mindset. You have to have that great character, but you have to have that trust factor. Great quote by Dr. Stephen Covey. Business moves at the speed of trust. How do you build trust? Competency, reliability, having people's back/best interest. If you want to be an individual that cultivates victory mindset in your organization, all the fact, you have to be a person people trust without a doubt. Relationships, personal, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, whatever. Relationships in business, partnerships, collaborations, clients, right? People have to trust you. When trust is the foundation of a victory mindset, atmosphere, culture, thought process, that's when great things happen.
I love that. Yeah, it's, we talk about that in leadership, right? Is like, one, I've always said, like, just be the change you want your organization to be, right? If you're not walking your walk, people can't trust you, right? And that trust factor brings loyalty. And that's what we're really talking about. People, we talk about this in business a lot now. Nobody cares about customer service. They care about loyalty now. Like everybody wants connection and loyalty. And how do you connect and be loyal if you can't have that trust factor? And character to me means the same thing. It's like, your character is the consistency. You're showing up. You're again, you have your team's back, right? Like if they don't think you got your back, then you're going to lose them. And I love what you're the Persia thing, right? To me, it's like the same thing. It's like if you're fighting for a greater good, a cause, in our company, in our our evolution is I want to have people on my team that are mission centered, right? They're the ones that they're aligned with the mission of where we're going, not just the job. And I know you know that because you've been doing, like, you've been in the NFL, you've built these big businesses. It's because you have this space, right? This space where everybody is there doing something for the greater good. And I feel like that's where we're moving in business. And that's why we're seeing some businesses fail, the big ones right now, is because they've lost their identity. They've lost their purpose. And so thank you for bringing that to light, man.
No doubt, man. And I tell everybody, right? I took note because for my own podcast, my own stuff, my own speaker, I have notes for myself for talks. And one thing I always say to people, it's a great quote. So shall you think, so you shall become. Bruce Lee. And if you want to be that individual that cultivates victory mindset, that cultivates all these things, then daggone it, you gotta think that you are and start to act like you are. Your perception is your reality, period. If you think about something, you're either, again, great quote by Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Plain and simple. It's really that simple. So you want to cultivate that victory mindset mentality, be that individual that's going to really help others to see that you're not about just yourself. And again, fixed mindset, it's all bad. Growth mindset, it's not all bad, but it's not the greatest level, in my opinion. Victory mindset moves you to the next level. That's my opinion.
I like that. And what I've learned from folks like Joe Dispenza too is like the same thing is believe, behave, become, right? It's like going from thinking to doing. That's the big step, right? We can all get here and we think and we know we're going to go, but then actually putting on your shoes and going, right, is the action of that, because you can't become something until you actually do it. And you can't actually do it until you get out of the mindset. So I loved how you kind of frame that up. It's the natural formula for me, right? It's the natural formula of how do you actually become great? Well, you got to step and do it. You got to step up and do it. So that's really good, man. What role did the daily habits or routines play in your mental and emotional recovery? Like, let's talk about the steps now, because we've gone into the whole process of, like the essence of how you get out of these things, but like day to day, moment to moment, did you have a special routine that you had, or how did you move through that process of getting out of the gutter?
So basically, after my rock bottom moment, which was our spoiled milk moment, where somebody's trash and rotten meat and nasty garbage got all over my clothes, my skin, and my body, the first thing I did was I cried for about 10 minutes. And after crying, I realized that I was the one that put myself on the curb. And the first thing I did when I realized that I wanted to speak, and I tell this to everybody, your network is your net worth. And it's not just who you know, it's who will say they know you. So I literally started the whole process of trying to speak and getting out there. And I was literally telling people in my circle that I was coaching their kids in football. Hey, I'm trying to speak. Hey, I want to get on stages. Hey, I'm doing it for free. Hey, I'm just trying to grow my name. And that's how I started. And I tell everybody, the first step to getting your life back on track if you're struggling is really going to your circle and asking for their support, right? Not for them to do everything for them, but the support in that regard. That's what they're looking for. That's what they need. They need that support. You need to find those individuals that are going to give you that lift up. I told you about, I didn't want to hand out. I wanted the opportunity to lift myself up. So that's what I did. And it was difficult. It was hard because I didn't really know the business. I didn't really know how to speak. I didn't really know what I was doing. But still, that's what I did. And I just kept doing and doing. And then I got my first Fortune 500 client as a result of that NetApp. And I spoke for NetApp because one of the individuals, Mr. Dave Nisvisky, who I coached both his sons in football, this was 2013, I was coaching them. And so basically in 2016, after continuing to get out there and tell people and all that, he gave me an opportunity to speak for them at one of their events at Mike Dicka's Steakhouse in Chicago, and did the job. I bombed it. It did not go well. And I learned from that experience, learned that when you speak as a speaker, it's not about you. It's not about your stories. It's about you bringing value to the audience with stories that fit the theme of the event. And what happened was I ended up losing that ability to storytell to that audience because I was focused on my business failure, not my NFL, concussions, trauma. It was a medical event. It was a medical audience. And so then he invited me back 6 months later for another CXO medical dinner in Miami at a nice upscale restaurant in Miami near South Beach. This time, nailed it. Got our first Fortune 500 testimonial letter, took that, and now here we are, really 7 8 years later, we've worked for over 75 Fortune 500 clients in the last 7 or 8 years. But it's all started with, again, right, to believe, right, behave, become. I believed I could do it. I behaved like that by telling people in the audience and in my network what I wanted to do. And I became that over time. It did not happen overnight. It did not happen the first time out. It was not easy. It was not, hey, I'm a speaker, pay me, da, da, da. No, it was a challenge. It was a process. And now here we are.
And again, the formula, right? It's like, what I loved was you never forgot the guy that got you on stage, right? You knew his name, you knew the thing, it's emotional moment. Like, I will never forget when, right? I would never forget how synchronistic it was. It was, I'm teaching football for this guy and happens to be this guy's kid, which happened to do this. So I always teach this in the space of like manifesting that, right? Well, it's like you had no business knowing how that was going to come. You didn't go and like research all the Fortune 100 companies and send your resume out. It was you like, it's the beauty of the awe of how the universe just conspired to get that to you. You threw it out there first, right? You had to do that. You had to say, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And then how cool is it that you went to your network, you went to your people, your tribe, the people that could lift you up. And all of a sudden it's like one guy gave you a shot. And guess what? Yeah, you bombed, because we always bomb on our first shot. We're never going to be good. But what happened? You stood up, you learned from the experience, you started to already I love the victory mindset, right? It's like you moved it into that space. And what was so good about this whole thing is he gave you a second shot and look what happened, right? It was boom, boom, boom. And so I think when I teach a lot of practitioners that are in the traditional space and they're moving into wellness and they have this big old imposter syndrome where they're like going in, I don't think they're good enough. And all of a sudden it prevents them from speaking out. It prevents them from trying. And that one lesson that I've gotten is like, if you don't go out there and put yourself out there and learn how to rebound from the bomb, right, and get to the place, you would have never got to where you were because you never would have done it. And I think that's a big lesson that we're all learning here is, I always just say start by starting, and done is better than perfect. Your first talk is better. I look at this. I got this dang thing yesterday, the new one, because I had to, because my one broke. But This is the 16th version of this phone. We'd never get to 16 without version 1. Version 1 compared to version 16 is very different, but we couldn't get there until we do version 1. So I loved that. I loved your story of transformation. And what advice would you give someone who's had a professional identity, like an athlete, like a professional pharmacist or doctor? That's there's the world is changing, right? Big time. And sometimes we're losing our sense of identity because these things are changing so rapidly. So what advice would you give someone that if they're feeling limited in that space now?
So if you are trying to transform to something new and you're limited in your reach or your research or your ability, you need to find someone, hire someone, go to a program, go learn so you can excel in that space. That's exactly what happened to me. I got I met Mel Robbins in 2018, who's a world-renowned speaker. She has her new book out called Let Them, which I love Mel. Then I went to a program at NAPSA, National Athletic Professional Success Academy. That program taught me how to be a very good speaker using past language, past lingo, all these things to connect with audiences, to express what we could bring to the table to potential clients in the corporate space, in the non-for-profit space, in the education space, in the healthcare space. And it was absolutely sensational. And I tell everybody, you don't know everything about everything. So if you're not going to be honest with yourself and get coaching and get guidance and get those tactical steps to grow your business, then don't be mad when you actually don't grow your business. Because at the end of the day, you always are going to spend either time or money. It's always best if you can afford it to invest the financial gain to make the time go by and get things done a lot faster. And that's what happened to me when I actually got coached in how to speak, in how to bring value, in how to teach, and how to connect. That's when the business took off. Before that, we were struggling. We got very few calls to no calls, no booked work. And we were just hanging on by a thread with me just working all kinds of odds and ends jobs to feed my family and keep myself afloat.
Well, that's something that I've learned through my own ascension and journeys is like the best of the best have a coach, right? They have a mentor. They have and you've already spoken like you remember them, right? Your first mentor, your first person, and the value you get for learning from someone that's been there, that's done it, is so supersedes the cost of what you can pay. I've always been a fan of professional development, but also professional coaching and mentoring. And I have 4 or 5 mentors different ways because exactly what you said. What could you have done if you can do it yourself, but it's going to take you so much longer than if you grab the right people and you seek that out, though. That's where I think people, they kind of think about like, oh, well, and it's like you went there, you're like, I want to do this and I'm going to find the right person to do it. And look what happened. It found you. And then you did it, right? And so if anybody gets anything out of this today, it's like if you want to excel, find a mentor, find a guru, find a coach, and understand that that's, to me, I feel like that's where my value comes when I'm investing in myself.
Can never go broke investing in yourself.
Ooh,
period.
yeah.
You can never go broke investing in yourself.
I love that. I'm writing it down, actually. And that's a great one. At Beyond the Pills here, we believe true healing touches body, mind, and spirit, right? You got to get all three for me. What has healing meant for you through your journey in the physical realm, the mental realm, and this energetic or spiritual realm? How do you
So,
see it?
so healing for me is realigning my body, my mind, my spirit to a place of balance. And I'm not gonna lie, when I got divorced I filed for divorce in July of 2022, moved into an apartment, a broken down piece of crap apartment that I needed to move into. I only had 2 weeks to get out. That's all I had, 2 weeks. So I moved into an apartment, and it was dark. It was difficult. It was just not a good place, not a good look. And I struggled immensely with healing. Like, how come I'm here? Why me? Poor me, da da da. And finally, in January of 2023, January 15th, around that time, 2023, I said, enough is enough. I got to get my life back on track. And that's when I got into like really digging into our business and really, I mean, I was going to therapy, but really getting to some soul searching in therapy and opening
Mhm.
up and being more active and more, attentive and more intentional, better word, with what I was trying to do. And it got a lot better. And I worked my butt off, bought my dream home in May 2023. So it'll be 2 years being in this house in May. And you know what? It took a lot to get to this point because at the end of the day, it was a lot of hardship. It was a lot of negativity in my own mind. It was a lot of self doubt in my own mind, lack of confidence in my own mind. And finally, when I said, okay, Marcus, things happen, we gotta we have to accept it and not just acknowledge it. Once that happened, things got so much better. And I speak a lot about that. I coach a lot on that. I consult a lot on that. And these are the things that I tell people. If you want to be successful in business and life, you have to accept things in order to move forward. You can't just acknowledge them because acknowledgement is not
Mm.
enough.
Yeah, accept so you can release and surrender.
That's
So
right.
how do you personally stay well mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in such a high demand career?
I'm very big on the gym. I go 5, 6 days. Well, I go 6, 7 days a week. I'll lift 5 to 6. I'm big on self care. Yeah, I get pedicures twice a week. Stretches, PT, all these things. I get haircuts and facials and towel treatment twice a week. For myself, and I just if things get busy, which they do a lot, which I'm very grateful for, I stop, I pause, and I take a deep breath and say, wow, I'm so grateful we have this many clients. We have this many partners. We have this going on in our business. Because if I didn't, then where would I be? Not in my new home, not in my dream car, not having a place where my daughters could feel safe and secure to live their life. So I try to remember in the chaos is always the beauty, right? There's an old saying: the
Yeah.
only way, the only way to really thrive through a storm is to go through it. So that's what I come down to in that regard.
I've been saying that a lot lately is the only way forward is through, right?
Right.
And yeah, and that same thing is like, just looking at it from the perspective of do I always say do you first. Like that self-care I put in my work schedule. Because
Mhm.
if I'm a wellness provider and I'm teaching people how to heal and transform and all this stuff, right? Well, I got to do me. If my bucket isn't full, I can't help anybody else. So I thought that was a really good, useful tool for myself. And I teach that a lot is put it in your work schedule. Because if we're all entrepreneurs here, right? This is why I love teaching entrepreneurs how to treat their bodies like they've treated their businesses. Because what's the number one asset in your business?
Yeah.
You. But when we'll say that, but then we'll spend a couple $100,000 on a widget that might make us 1 basis point more in revenue. And then you're like, well, how much are you spending on yourself and investing in yourself? And they're like, nothing.
Classic.
you know,
Yeah,
nothing.
classic. I hear it all the
So,
time.
and you're at Fortune 100 companies. This isn't just small business. It's like you go into these big CEOs and you're like, how much are you investing in like your own growth? And they're like, no, no. And it's like, we switch that. So we turn that around. So you got some projects going on, right? Tell us a little bit about the inner game community, the scale room. What inspired you in these things, and what impact are you hoping to make through them?
So the inner game community is a platform through school where we bring together like-minded professionals in all areas: healthcare, coaching, speaking, athletes, business, you name it. And it's all about connecting people with good people. We meet every Thursday, 2:30 to 3:30 Eastern. We have an expert interview each week, and we bring that individual's story, experiences, business greatness strategy, personal story of overcoming obstacles, adversity. We bring that to our inner game community audience. That's the free version. Then we have the inner game scale room where we have classes and we have teachings from other experts that's more designed to grow your business through like marketing, YouTube strategy, positioning, how to get people to know about you, like you, attract you, right? I tell people, don't chase success, have it be attracted to you. So we really get into the scale room, and we charge $97 a month for access. We have live calls once a week, Wednesdays from 5 to 6. Again, bringing an expert in for teaching, having a call to go over strategy. We've got about 20 people in there that are paid. It's growing all the time. And my business partner, Victor, who's an expert like scaling funnels, marketing, YouTube, we're doing that together. And then we have other partners, other experts that we're bringing in for teaching and for helping the group to learn. And so it's coming along great. I mean, it really is. People are absolutely loving it on every level. And like I tell everybody, it's just about connecting with those right people to elevate yourself to the next level. And that's what we do with it. So that's the Inner Game Scale Room. It's hosted on the platform School.
Cool. How do people find that?
So there's a link that I'll be sure to send you through LinkedIn, so you can put that in the show notes.
Cool. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. I want to make sure people can find you and take advantage of these things, because that's really what we're talking about. Like, I love, we got, what are the one thing that people can do so we can get them moving in this direction, get them moving in. So, and also you have you speak at these companies, right? You do these keynote speaker. How do people get a hold of you for that?
Yeah, all you have to do, Josh, is go to our website, www.marques, MARQUES, Ogden, OGDEN.com, or you can go to the Marques Ogden app. So if you have an Android or Google or or Apple phone, or Android or Apple phone, go to your app store, type in Marques Ogden, and it'll pop right up. It's a free app. You can access our website from there. We have free content there. You can subscribe to our podcast from there. And it's just a very interactive, free app you can utilize to help you continue to get information, help you build and increase your confidence, all those things going across the board.
So marquesogden.com and the app. That's amazing. I will definitely check that out for sure. My EO entrepreneur group's always looking for good speakers about this stuff. So we'll definitely connect on some other levels. I'm curious, what's the legacy you want to leave? Not just as like a former NFL player or a keynote speaker, but like as a human being committed to this service, committed to impact. What's your legacy? What do you want to put? What do you want to do?
I want people to remember and know us as an individual, as a brand that was all about inspiring you to take accountability. That's our big mantra. right? That's our big mission. Also, want to help people learn how to move like a bison or learn how to thrive through the eye of the storm. Don't run from your problems. It's not going to work. Shucking, jiving, all this stuff is not going to help you resolve issues, take care of situations. It's not going to do that for you. And if you think that's going to happen, it's not going to happen. So again, like for example, I have a phone call come up here in a moment. The person I want to talk to, I want to work with her, but I'm going to tell her straight up, hey, look, right now I cannot. I am busy with everything. I'm trying to integrate new things. What you're saying, I believe, will help us. But right now, I got to take care of some things, taking care of on the business side. And third quarter, I'll be in a position to work with you potentially based upon where I'm at. If you want to wait till third quarter, great. You cannot because you've got things going. Not a problem. I'm just not going to become a client of yours. So I'm learning how to be honest with people and just be real and tell them things. And again, because I don't want to I'm not going to be the guy who runs from problems or shucks or jives or dodges because it's just going to come right back around on you. So you need to be that individual that people can count on. So those are the two legacy things I'm focusing on right now. Okay, Josh, same thing to you. It's inspiring people to take accountability and teaching people how to move like a bison or AKA how to thrive through the eye of the storm.
I love that. And I love how you held your boundary, right? You're holding your boundary to, if I can't help you, I'm not going to try. Like I want to hold that. That's such great, beautiful honesty. So love that. Buffalo medicine. That's what I call it. That's amazing. I love that vibe. I love what you're doing in the community, how you're helping entrepreneurs and people go through this victory mindset. So Marques, thanks so much, man, for being on this show, having an awesome episode and just putting a dent in the universe the way you're doing it. So
Appreciate you, man.
Sir.
Thanks for having me on.
All right,
I appreciate it.
Until that's a wrap, guys. Until then, next time, stay well.